Today we're going to dive into mapping within the Mobile Impact platform. In the demonstration form that we're going to look at, we're going to map Wyoming pipelines. As we can see, the USGS has published some public pipeline data, and there's a link to a shapefile here that we can download. That's what we'll use for our data layer. In an actual implementation, this might come from an existing GIS backend such as Esri. If we look within the data that we downloaded, we can see that various features have been defined in this data set. For instance, we can see that the operator name, the diameter, and other features are defined here. We'll see these same features when we look at the form in My Apps later in this video. We'll also need a base map to display our data. In this case, we've gone to openmaptiles.com. We've selected Wyoming, and we're going to use the OpenStreetMap vector tiles that we can download here. Once I've downloaded the map data that I care about, I can run it through a small conversion utility and then upload it to Mapbox Studio. I've logged into Mapbox Studio here, and as you can see, I've published these maps and have them available. My base map is focused on the Wyoming area, as we'd expect. And if I were to come take a look at the actual types themselves, you can see that they are overlaid in more or less the same area. We could perform some conditional styling here if we wanted to, like changing the colors and things like that, but we're going to use that for something else as we put the demonstration form together. So for now, I'll just leave it as is. When I'm happy with my data, I can come to my share link here, which will provide me a URL as well as a Mapbox token, and it'll also give me the ability to download files that I need to make these maps available offline. In order for these maps to be available to my form designers and my field staff, I first need to publish them to the My Enterprise middleware. I've already done so, but let's take a look at how that's been done. If I visit one of these, we can see that I've defined a unique ID, a name, an online URL that will be used when my device is online or through web filling, and I've uploaded an MB tiles file to be available for offline usage. I can also specify details about which groups are allowed to use this map. If I look, I can see that I've also done the same thing for the street map that I downloaded. If I were starting a new form design, I could come to my palette, go under Media, pick my map, and at that point, add maps through this map list. If I were to pick the Wyoming pipeline, and then the street maps, we see that these are available here. If I wanted to customize this a bit, I could expand my map detail and set my initial map location and zoom level. Perhaps I wanted to zoom out to a little bit of a wider view and center Wyoming and save that location. However, we want to do more than just display the map. So as you can see, I've added some additional fields such as GPS, a checkbox group, a grid, and some buttons. And we'll see how all of these come together to create a usable map solution within My Apps. Okay, now that my form is designed, I've swapped over to My Apps, which is our field data collection application. I'm demonstrating this on Windows, but the experience would be the same on iOS or Android. As my form loads, we see that the map data loads here, and my pipelines are displayed over top of Wyoming. We see that they're abruptly cut off at the borders because our data set didn't expand past Wyoming. In addition to the map, down below, we've chosen to take a look at the individual feature data. We've used this inline grid to display all of the information that is captured within that data set. In this case, the name, owner, status, operator, commodity, and so on and so forth. You can actually see that there's over 1,000 pages of data here, and we can navigate across that if we needed to. But I'm going to interact with the map instead. As I zoom in here, we'll see that my features get zoomed as well, and I can choose to click somewhere near the map. Now you might also notice that up in the top right corner, my latitude and longitude are changing just for display purposes, but I'm going to use this click to figure out what is closest to where I have selected a feature. So when I do that, we see a red dashed line appears over top of the pipeline, and we see also that that pipeline is selected within my data grid down below. In this case, it's one owned by ConocoPhillips. Now, it's interesting to just see that information, but we might choose to take an action on it as well. For instance, perhaps we were performing cleanup on this pipe. If I check my cleanup checkbox and then click the update button, we see that that pipe is now highlighted blue. That's because we've set up conditional formatting on this layer in order to distinguish between the different types of actions that we can take. I can do the same thing by clicking on another pipeline nearby, which would select that one, this one owned by Power River Lateral, and perhaps I'm going to perform coding on it, which will highlight it yellow. Now, another action we can take on this form is to use our GPS. I'm not actually located within Wyoming, so we're cheating a little bit here. Though we are actually able to record GPS location on device, we are, in this case, generating a random coordinate somewhere in Wyoming. In this case, it happened to choose one that was very close to the northeast border. We can see there's one pipeline over there, and we've selected the pipeline that is most close to where our GPS location is. This feature could be used if I was actually out in the field and wanted to locate the most nearest pipeline to me, rather than having to select one from a long list like this. Again, we can choose to, in this case, take a weld action and update that, which will turn it green, which would again update the data set that we'll take a look at later. Once I'm done collecting data in the field, the entire package of form data is sent to the My Enterprise middleware. On the middleware, we can export data in a variety of formats. In this case, we've chosen to export GeoJSON data. We see a set of feature collections, their coordinates, and some other information. But most notably, we see that the pipe status, in this case, of cleanup, and we would see other ones down below as well. This data could be exported through common web services to a backend such as Esri or other GIS system. Thank you for your time today as we explored mapping within the Mobile Impact Platform. Hopefully this has inspired some ideas, and we'd be happy to talk to you about your GIS and field data collection needs.